chin in a Chinese phone book, so I know how that goes.
You know, I was talking to Coach Brooks a minute ago about depth, and I said, is this maybe the most quality depth you've had at one position? You know, and I'm looking through the roster the other day, and I'm like, you've got 9 or 10 maybe, I think, that you can count on in a game. Is that
I
right?
think you're right. You know, my story's always been, hey, if you earn it in practice, you're going to get in the game. And that's the thing I love about Coach Sweeney. He loves for people to play. And that was the benefit of last year, getting to play some guys. You know, they get 200-300 snaps. In the big scheme of things, they look at 1,207 and they don't think, well, maybe that wasn't a whole lot, but that's a lot.
Yeah.
And so that's some pretty quality experience. So I got more guys I feel like I can trust, like you said, to get in the game and do what they're supposed to do, because they bought into learning the system. They know what's going on, and they're fun to be around. I can't wait.
If somebody asked me, as a sports writer, 2 most important positions on the line, even though all 5 are important, I'd say center and left tackle. You've got 2 good ones.
I think so. You know, and trying to develop depth behind them. I've really been proud of Tremaine Ankrum. He's only been here a semester. You know, obviously, Mitch Hyatt, everybody knows Mitch. Mitch quiet, doesn't say much. I saw him this morning, and but he's gotten bigger and better, and his attitude about work. He doesn't like to fail, and you know, he's pretty special, and I think Tremaine's fed off of that. And then you got a young man, Sean Pollard, who stepped in behind Jake Frumorgan, you know, because we were thin at tackle.
Right.
And when you take Taylor Hearn and move him inside, and Taylor's the one, he's kind of the wild card of the bunch, because most people didn't believe me when I said that boy can play left tackle. And but he's got an attitude about him that he likes those challenges. But moving him inside gives us more bulk and a little more physical presence, you know, there. So I'm kind of excited where this bunch is headed.
If we could go through it 2 deep real quick, you had Mitch at left tackle. Who do you see kind of stepping in behind him?
Well, you know, from the spring, it's Tremaine Ankrum, but you know, is he quite ready for that role? It's yet to be determined. You know, I've still continued to work Taylor Hearn there. Sean Pollard's even taking some snaps over there, but Sean's on the right side. You know, he's giving us a little more depth, and then we got several guys that people may be fooled by when they see them step out there. Noah Green has really changed his body and stepped up. You know, he had some freak injuries last year, from concussion to missing a couple of big scrimmages, and you know, didn't get the experience there that I'd like for him to have. But he's really developed his body, and I think at 290 pounds the other day he ran 4.9 or so. So he's gotten stronger. He's feeling pretty confident. So that's you know, just spot. I know you start calling names, you're gonna mess up something, and I like this young bunch I got. Yeah, you know, y'all know Soft Chandler Reeves. He's looking good. I think when he first signed, he was like 240 something. Well, you know, he's 285 now, and it's been pretty quality weight. And you know, we got John Simpson, who he's another one. You know, I want to play him at guard, but he has the ability to play tackle too, and he can be pretty special there. He came in here ready to go. His coaches have worked him great in the off season. One of his coaches is one of my former players, so he kind of knows what to expect. So we got some people like that, and then you know, Cade Stewart's been working at snapping the ball, so he's a guy that's played tackle in high school, but probably going to be a center guard here. So I got a good mixture. Justin Falcinelli, What a great spring he had. He can do a little bit of everything. Play guard, center. He played tackle in high school. And people
Well, I was going to ask, is Justin maybe the backup center at this point?
Yes,
or?
yeah, he is. And, he could also be number 2 guard as well. So that's his value to us is really magnified. Just the fact that he's come along. He never snapped the ball before, and asked him to do it. And, I mean, he was just demoralized there for a while. I told him, I said, hey, son, that's why they make that bumper sticker, It happens. And don't worry, it'll come. And so I'm really excited about where he's headed, too. So.
I saw Jake has put on some weight, maybe around 300.
He has, and it looks like it's been quality weight because his times are really good. Coach Batson and his crew just do an unbelievable job down in the weight room. And, me and Coach Brooks, we're usually early risers, so we down there and we get to watch them and see what they do. And man, they're working their tails off, running good. It's impressive to see.
Robbie, it seems like this is one of the first seasons perhaps where people aren't asking if the offensive line is a question mark on this team. Is that a different mindset that you guys take into the season, or do you not worry about that at all and just work them the same way?
That's a great question. We always take offense to whatever,
Yeah.
We just kind of over in the background. Those guys take a lot of pride in what they do. And, we have our own goals, whether people believe in us or not. We have goals set in our group, and they got after it last year. I mean, I think, after we did our study, that group was pretty much single-digit sacks that they were responsible for, and obviously Deshaun gets us out of trouble too. And but those are the kind of things you got to have. But it's a desire and a want to, and good team group.
Did they feel like, okay, this is what we did this year, we want to take it to another level this next year as part of whatever super offense people are talking about?
Well, yes and no. We can't live on the past. So whatever we did last year, that's gone. It's all whole new year. Circumstances change. You never know what's going to happen from there. So each year is this individual deal. But obviously, this group would like to make their own history, and that's what I try to encourage to do. Hey, let's be remembered. And the way you do that, you do great things. And that's what we're trying to do anyway.
How important is Jay to this whole scheme?
Well, very important. His leadership, much like Eric McLean was last year, leadership alone is just hard to replace. Jay's been around long enough now that, he talks and he speaks. And, some of the freshmen come here, they're a little bit afraid of you. They don't want to say one way or the other. But, I like for the guys to speak up. And, there's only going to be, you still got to be chairman of the board, but they got to, you got to know what they're thinking and how they think. And obviously I try to create a mindset, but Jay speaks for the group, and they respect him. They like everything. If I'm not there, he can fill in my voice, so to speak. And so that's pretty good.
I'm going to ask you, have you actually caught him in the midst of one of his Caldwell impersonations?
Oh, yeah, he tries. I got to work with him a little bit. He needs to. He pronounces his words too well, I think, sometimes. But anyway, but it's good, and all of them try, and but it's a lot of fun.
You talked about freshmen maybe not wanting to speak up quickly. Maybe Mitch Hyatt was probably that situation last year. How has he kind of, is he grown into more of a loud leader, or is it still?
No.
Yeah.
Mitch doesn't talk, but his actions speak, and
Yeah.
you know that's the other thing. You know, it doesn't have to be. That's what I try to explain to him. It doesn't have to be verbiage.
Yeah.
It can be your actions. You know, and but sometimes somebody's got to grab the bull by the horns and speak up and say, "Let's go." And we're getting several guys now that are starting to do that, but obviously Jay's the best in this group about being a leader, and you know he's not a lone senior, so that's pretty unique, isn't it? Yeah. One guy.
Coach, can you give us your assessment of where Tremaine and Sean are in their development after the spring and headed into August, and kind of compare that maybe to where Mitch and Jake were at the beginning?
Well, you know, comparing is not fair because they're different people, but Tremaine and Sean have been outstanding. I wasn't sure if I'd have to learn as much as freshmen as say Jake and Mitch did, but these two are like that in that regard. They take a lot of pride in not making mistakes, and you know, it's something you have to work at. It has to be important to you, and that's the thing I like about those two is football's important to them. Obviously, can't consume you, but when we have you over there, we only have you for a certain amount of time, and it's got to be business. And those two are like that.
The fact that you got to depend on two early enroll freshmen as your backups at tackle, is it still a concern, the depth?
I don't get into worrying about it. It's like everybody last year. All of you were panicking about this and that. We got to play a tackle
So we did.
freshman, and hey, listen, when you've been down the road I've seen it all. And some kids can handle it, some can't. But no, they'll find a way to get it done. I mean, that's my job. So.
Phrasing it a little differently, you've lost a lot of tackles. It's been a snake pit position. Guys that leave on their own accord or just injuries end their careers. How have you dealt with that the last 3, 4, 5
Just
years?
move somebody over there, you know, next man up. Hey, you have what you have, and you just got to find a way, the right formula. And I think those two. And you're right. I mean, Taylor Hearn's playing guard right now, but he can easily move out to tackle. He can do that. Justin Falcinelli, everybody laughs, but he can move over at tackle if I need him to. We try to recruit athletic guys that can play multiple positions, and that's kind of how we fix those problems, because stuff's going to happen. You know, somebody's going to get hurt, unfortunately, knock on wood. You hope that doesn't happen, but it's football, and that's what it is.
The NFL draft page of Clemson history, you look at the higher rounds the last 50 years, not a lot of offensive linemen, historically or recently. Are you starting to see a change there to where you've got guys on this roster who are going to be drafted as high as some of those?
Yeah, I think so. You know, offensive linemen, it's just it's about size and those type things. There's been some offensive linemen here at Clemson over the years before I got here that were as good of players as those guys playing in the NFL, but they're not big enough, and or whatever reason. But it's like when I first started, the whole time I was at Furman, you know, I never had a guy go to the NFL because we never had a guy big enough. But we whipped people. They weighed 220 pounds, but we whipped their butt. And, you know, there's one year we finished third in the nation behind rushing the football behind Nebraska and Oklahoma back in the wishbone days. So, you know, you got to have all the right things to fall in place. You know, at Vanderbilt, I had a first-round pick. Who'd have thought? He came in there weighing 240 pounds. It just depends. You got to be at the right place at the right time, right team. But you know, Antoine McClain, he's probably going to start this year for the Cardinals. So there's some guys that start to move up there. Brandon Thomas, different guys like that. In this group, there'll be some.
Has recruiting mindset changed here with the offensive line trying to?
Well, it's bigger people. They just getting bigger, and they can do the things that we need done. You know, we have a pretty athletic bunch. All of them pull, so it's a little different.
given what you've got coming back, have you ever been in a position this good going into the season?
Well, that's a good question. You know, I don't think I can remember one that guys that, you know, you can trust. I've had some pretty guys on the hoof, you know, they look the part and all this, but you can't. Can you trust them? Can they know the system? They're gonna do the right thing. They're gonna turn somebody loose. That's like the group last year. That was the best thing, is they bought in and they knew the system and they didn't turn people loose. We had less tackles for loss, less sacks, and you know, did we always knock them down? No, but we tried to be on them and be in the right place, and that's what it's all about.
Obviously, you had many more question marks going into last season. You must have been just tickled to death to see the progress of that unit as the season